All right, so I decided to do mine on small group communication with focus on problem solving because I feel like we go through this daily and a lot of us don't realize that we are in these type of situations. So here we go. So the basics about communication, it ranges from anything. I mean, from listening to somebody, being friendly with a certain person, being open-minded when you are speaking to others, providing clarity when you're speaking to others, and also nonverbal communication, such as, I mean, when you're driving or while like crossing the street, you know, like when you're at a stop sign, there's a car at a stop sign, do they let you go? Do you go? You know, that's all communication that we don't realize that we go through on a daily basis. Where do we use it? I mean, it's basically anywhere. Our household, school, work, gym, the store. We also see it in movies all the time. I mean, I feel like movies, for the most part, there's always communication issues, and that's kind of what makes them funny or serious or anything. And I have a video for us. Let me see. Are you able to see that?
It has not come up.
Let me see. Does that pop up or no?
No, it's not.
How do I make it pop up? Let me see.
So
Oh, found it. Got it.
okay.
There we go. Is that up?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Just let me know if you have any issues listening.
Hello? I just got your email. Lake House? Yeah, yeah, well, it's Lillian's parents' house. We used to go there all the time in the summers and everything. And it's one of her bachelorette in a cabin. Oh, wait, can you hold that thought? Hold on. Hello? Hello?
Annie, it's Rita.
Hi.
Listen, I need a trip that I can fantasize forever so that I'm able to have sex with my husband. That's why I'm thinking Vegas.
Vegas?
Hang on. Hey, shut your filthy fucking mouth. I'm sorry. I'm surrounded by savages.
You know what? I should probably run. My other line is ringing.
You know, I can get cocaine from my hairdresser. It's okay.
Hi. Hello?
Annie, I'm so excited. Helen just called. We go to Vegas.
Yeah, but we have to fly there.
Okay, Annie, I know you're afraid of flying, but I want to see Chris Angel. It's sort of love.
Can you just hold on for 1 second?
Oh, sure. Thanks.
Hello?
Hey, Annie, it's Megan.
Oh, hey.
Just had some thoughts about the bachelorette party. Okay, here we go. Easy peasy, Vegas it is. She got the jump on you.
Honestly, I think guess we're undecided.
Has anybody seen the movie?
I've never seen it.
No, that's funny.
That
It gave me anxiety watching it though.
that is Bridesmaids. And as we saw in the video, I mean, there was a bunch of issues with communication. One of them, honestly, like being not listening, kind of just talking to each other, but the other was just kind of like, I don't want to listen to what you're saying. The main issue right there was everybody wanted to go to Vegas, but obviously you saw that she did not have enough money, but she didn't want to say it. She felt embarrassed. But other issues that we deal with, I mean, are assuming things, interrupting, as we saw in the video. I mean, they kept interrupting each other. Nobody really had like a clear conversation. Emotions always play a factor in communication. Sometimes we get angry and we don't want to listen to somebody, or we say things and we don't communicate correctly, which leads to being indirect. Some people just get straight to the point and so I ask you guys, what type of communication problems do you face on a daily basis?
Well, one of the things that I liked about that clip was this idea of time. Like she's sending an email and someone's on the phone. And I just feel like that's a huge one with like digital communication, because you send a text and or an email, people assume you read it before you go into a meeting, and just I just feel like that time thing is really important.
I would totally agree with that statement, particularly with emails. Like as a method of communication, like emails are notoriously unreliable and hard to assess the emotional feeling behind it. And I think that digital communication in general, like, really limits our ability to understand what's going on with people because we don't get that nonverbal part of what they're saying. Like, like the girl in the video, like she's looking at her check. She's like, you can just see her just being like overwhelmed and like she's got this personal information she doesn't want to share. And nobody picked up on it because they couldn't see her.
Correct. Yeah.
I think the same thing goes for like text messaging too. It's always such a struggle because you don't see the undertone of the message, right? And things can be like such a challenge, especially I feel like with people in my life that I have long distance relationships with. Texting is so hard to feel like you're still connected. I'd way rather be talking on the phone or obviously in person as well. But it just makes things challenging when you feel like people only want to communicate through a few words.
You're saying emojis don't make up for that?
But not the same as face-to-face communication.
I mean, how big of a role do you all feel that emotion plays a part of like communication like problems? Like, do you feel like it's most of the time, part of the time, or?
For problems, is that what you said?
Yeah, like communication type based problems. Like, how often do you feel like emotion is like a big issue?
I have a student, she's doing her internship right now, and she's saying she's in an administrative role, and she said she's having a hard time taking everything personally. So it's like she's trying to be this professional in this big job that she has, but it's hard not to take things personally, and so it's draining to her, right? She internalizes a lot of that, which is very emotional, I think, sometimes, especially when you're in a role where you're not supposed to show emotion, Yeah,
and it kind of just like brings you down, so like brings down your confidence overall. Mm-hmm. So most of these communication type problems in small groups happen in undesirable situations. I mean, when somebody doesn't feel welcome, as in the example Professor just gave, you're gonna just kind of be short and try to get out of the situation as fast as possible. Happens with difficult tasks and group work. I mean, we've all been in the groups where like it's hard to communicate, and there's always one person who isn't basically communicating or putting in like their part of the work, and it just makes things difficult and it causes emotion and anger, and that's when the issues happen. So the right steps to fix these type of situation, I mean, is to define the problem. You always want to be patient. You want to basically try to look at the problem from the other person's side, see what might be going on with them. That's part of analyzing the problem. Then you want to generate possible solutions, figure out what the best route is. And it's always best to make different types of solutions, and then you evaluate them all and then implement what would be best. Does anybody have any questions, comments, anything they feel like they wanted to add on?
So how much of that, could you go back to your list?
Which one, this one?
Yeah. So on this, like the problem, like defining and analyzing the problem, two different people, people encounter those situations, and finding agreement on what the problem is kind of in and of itself its own challenge. And so, with these steps, like is there anything that you would do to help recommend narrowing down a problem with somebody? Like, how do you figure out what your problem is?
I mean, I feel like in most cases, the best way to take it is speak to the person rather than, because you're always going to assume. If you never speak to somebody, you're just going to assume things, and that leads to like emotional like action,
Openness then.
Being open to speaking. Because once you speak to somebody, you're going to get their side of it, they could hear your side of it, and for the most part, that cures everything. But that'll also lead to like finding out if they're actually not interested, or they don't want to cooperate. So then that's when you would take, I don't know, I guess like a stronger like way out of it, I guess. Like if for like a group project, I mean, I had it in under my undergrad where we had a giant project it was like our final project for our undergrad, and there was one person who wasn't doing any work. We tried to speak to them, they didn't want to cooperate, so we went straight to the professor. So that was one instance where I had to do that.
Okay.
So yeah, to answer your question short, is just I guess, I mean, speak to the person. That would be the best way to start it.
But I've also had that problem where people just have different stories, right? Like I have a story of what happened and someone else has a story of what happened, and we're never going to agree, you know? Like
Right, yeah.
sometimes you have to agree to disagree, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's never going to work out in your favor or anyone else's favor. There's always going to be a bad person. Even if you feel like you're the good person, someone else is trying to make you feel bad. But I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know what's the term to use. Just use your best judgment. I mean, you always just have to watch what you say around who you say and how you act.
We're all the heroes of our own stories.